Do laptop coolers actually work? That's the question I had when I made this video about the Llano V12 laptop cooler. And though my conclusion was, yes, this works, you guys had a ton of questions about it that I couldn't answer in 60 seconds. So I reached out to Llano and asked them if I could make a dedicated review video to show a more in-depth look at the cooler in exchange for some models to give away to my audience so they can see for themselves that this cooler is the real deal. Stick around for more info on that. Now, in full transparency, Llano specifically asked that the review be entirely honest and unscripted, because the last thing they want is their customer to purchase it and not be happy, which really sets the foundation for how the company operates. This is an actual screenshot of the email. And of course, if this thing was trash, you all know how much fun I would have absolutely roasting the shit out of the cooler, the company, and your mother, all while Lupe steals their wives. But what I really think is that this V12 is arguably the greatest laptop cooler on the market right now for gaming laptops. And the V10, their other model, is the greatest laptop cooler on the market for smaller laptops. And I'm gonna show you the numbers to back up these claims to help explain why I've arrived at my conclusion. But first, let me just boot up this average gaming laptop that just came into my repair shop. Just kidding. But I do want to start off by showing you how this cooler works.
See this piece of foam? You place the foam just like this. Now what this does, it creates a seal, it creates a barrier so that this huge ass fan that you just saw earlier, that pumps out air directly into the laptop's vents. Now how good it works depends on how much ventilation you have in the bottom of your laptop. That's why this does not work with MacBooks, because MacBooks have an enclosed bottom, there's no ventilation there. So there's nowhere for that air to be forced into. Whereas on this laptop, this is an HP Pavilion Gaming that we're going to be working on, which is overheating. It works good because the vents right here expose the copper pipes, the heat sinks, and the components inside. So all that air is blowing directly on those, and that helps it keep cool.
That seal is so good, you can actually feel the air coming out of the touchpad gaps when it's on. And when I put a piece of Lupe's wig here, you can actually see the airflow.
To actually use it, all you do, place the laptop, make sure it's sealed up on those vents. See these little hooks right here? Open up the lid. Now you want to tuck the laptop in those hooks. Now these are plastic, this isn't going to scratch your computer. And then plug in the cooler right here. You have a bunch of ports as well, so you can hook up keyboard, mouse, all that stuff to it. You can hook this directly to the laptop. You want this to be elevated because the air obviously needs a point to come through. Those two right there, boom, that's it. There's 3 buttons.
The V12 has touch buttons, which I don't prefer, but they work just fine along with the wheel to control the fan speed. Along with the power button, you have an RGB button and a manual RGB button. As for fan speed, Llano recommends between 600 and 1200 to be a nice balance between the noise level and the performance. So that's how it works, but I'm sure you all want to know how well it works. And to show that, I'm going to do 4 tests running the same AIDA64 stress test, where the first one is going to be the laptop completely flat on a desk with no cooler and no elevation but its own feet, where you can see the laptop immediately throttle, which is normal, but then it continues to spike as the temps keep hitting the thermal limit. If you were playing a game, these spikes would manifest themselves as huge FPS drops. Next, I'm going to elevate the laptop to provide less restriction to the airflow on the bottom. We see very little difference here, with the same spikes occurring throughout the test. Now we have it on the V12 at 1000 RPM, which the noise level is barely louder than the stock fans. And besides that initial throttle spike, it doesn't throttle throughout the entire test.
Now just for giggles, I'm going to crank this to the highest setting, which is 2800 RPM, and I'm going to see how low we can get those temperatures. I'm not going to lie, it's loud. Like, even if you have headphones on, you can still hear it. So that's only something you want to do if you really, really need your computer to run cool. If you have a very hot computer, you know, some of these Asus HPs, the newer chips, they run super hot, so you're going to have to use that setting. Nothing. So let's see what it does on max RPM. That is always going to say that on this computer, because as soon as the computer starts, it triggers the thermal warning. So we're going to start. Now it's going to throttle just like it was before. That's nothing out of the ordinary. But what we want to look at is what the temperatures end up coming down to and averaging at. I do fully expect it to not throttle as long though at the start, so that graph should stay where it is right now.
Just as expected, on max fan speed, the throttling stops much sooner than before and never comes back throughout the test. So clearly this works. And now for the negatives. When on max fan speed, the noise can get up to 70 decibels, which is pretty loud, but nothing a pair of headphones can't block out while gaming. For reference, normal human conversation is about 50 decibels, and I'm talking at a completely normal volume during this clip, and you can hear me just fine.
So look how much shorter that throttle process was. That throttle duration, look how short the throttle duration was.
But if you're sensitive to noise and don't wear headphones, you shouldn't get any laptop cooler, because all fans make noise. The size of the cooler is also something you have to consider, because if you're using your laptop as a laptop instead of plugged into a monitor and external keyboard, you might have an issue with the comfort. Obviously, this isn't specific to this cooler though, and I do appreciate the low profile and ability to adjust the stand to 2 height levels on this model.
The next thing I want to address is the price. I don't have an issue with the price, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if I spend $1,000 to $2,000 on a laptop, even more maybe in your case, on a gaming laptop, then I'm going to want to protect it at all costs and make sure that it lasts as long as possible. So the fact that this costs, I think it's $100 if you don't use my discount, so you can get it at a discount. But the number one reason I see laptops in my shop is because they're overheating, or they overheated and now they're cooked. The GPU is dead, the CPU is dead, whatever. Heat is the number one killer of gaming laptops. Everybody knows it, everybody in the repair industry knows it. And the problem is that you can't just put in a new video card or put in a new CPU. When that fries itself, it's done. So you need to protect your investment. If you're spending all that money on a gaming laptop and you let it overheat day after day after day as you're playing your games, that's not good. I don't mind spending $100 on a cooler that's going to prevent my laptop from cooking itself over the span of years. It's like buying a Lamborghini and then complaining that you need to use high-octane fuel. It's stupid.
Now for quality. I saw a comment somewhere saying this had cheap plastic, so I beat the absolute piss out of this thing to prove this plastic is not cheap. And it's not easily breakable. And with a 2.5-year warranty and a customer-first mindset, I trust Llano to take care of any issues that may arise during this time. But huge gaming laptops aren't the only ones that overheat. Small office laptops like the Lenovo ThinkBook also tend to run toasty, which is what the little brother of the V12, the Llano V10, is designed for. The V12 is good for allowing 15.6-inch to 19-inch gaming laptops to be pushed to their absolute limit for long gaming sessions, whereas the V10 is best suited for smaller laptops that are 13.3 to 15.6 inches. With a smaller fan, the V10 is meant for casual users that don't need the insane cooling power of the V12, but still want to protect their investment by keeping their device running cool. It also comes at a quieter cost, getting up to 60 decibels rather than 70 decibels at full speed, and has physical adjustment buttons, which I actually prefer over the touch buttons of the V12. Even with that smaller fan, it still does an excellent job of cooling, as you can see here with my ThinkBook that always overheats with this i7. But most importantly, it still comes with RGB, because of course it does. But now for the part you've all been waiting for. Free stuff and discounted stuff. Llano has given me 5 models to give away so you can experience the coolness for yourself, and since you've made it this far in the video, you deserve to be awarded by the greatest technician that's ever lived. All I need you to do is leave a comment and Llano will reach out to you. But you have to promise me to come back to this video and share your honest experience with the cooler. As for everyone else, you can grab these coolers at a discount using my code below, and let me know if you want to see me review more things on the channel. And as always, thank you for watching.